Gates.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. And I'm delighted that the Chancellor has set aside £4 billion to help families with young children. I'm less delighted with how he's choosing to spend it. And I'm referring to the massive expansion of the 30-hour childcare scheme to include babies from the age of 9 months. Now, the stated aim of this policy is to get parents back into work and to grow the economy. But unfortunately, I think it will probably fail on both counts. It won't get parents back into work, and I think the evidence for that comes from the current 30-hour offer for 3- and 4-year-olds, which has limited success, with only 40% of eligible families using their full entitlement, which is not surprising because it's not free and it's very inflexible, being restricted only to 38 weeks a year and between 9 to 3 p.m. Not many jobs fit those requirements. And polling shows a great many parents, understandably, would prefer to look after their children themselves. A recent IFS study showed that free childcare doesn't have a significant impact on parents' childcare and work decisions. Now, if these are the problems with the 3- to 4-year-old offer, they'll be even more acute with the 9-month to 2-year-old offer. We're also forgetting that families in this country keep so little of what they earn that it's often not worth going back to work, even if childcare is cheaper. Now, the Treasury and others keep repeating this mantra that British parents face the highest childcare costs in the Western world. It's not actually true. The absolute costs of childcare are similar in the UK to other countries. The problem is that British families' childcare costs are a higher proportion of families' net income than in comparable countries. The problem is not the childcare cost, it's the low net income. And that's the result of taking so much money off parents in tax in comparison with other countries, combined with meagre child benefits, also in comparison with other countries. And the root of this problem is our unique individual taxation system that doesn't recognise households with children and results in British families paying 3, 4, 5 or even 10 times the amount of tax of families in other countries, particularly penalises single-earner households or households where there's a large difference in earning between the two partners. So under this policy, let's say a mother returns to work because the childcare costs are now reduced. She might earn a £20,000 gross salary. Out of that, she has to pay taxation, national insurance, pension contributions, she has universal credit withdrawn, childcare top-ups, student loan repayments, perhaps travel costs. Her gross salary, £1,700 per month, a little bit under, she'll be lucky to keep £290 of that, a nearly 80% effective tax rate. Now, some people will return to work for that, but many won't because of what they're losing in terms of time with their children. So I don't expect the take-up to be high. Will it grow the economy? Well, it might increase GDP if more people return to the employment market. But what does it mean in real terms for real people's lives? Will GDP per capita grow? Well, I think that's highly unlikely because when mothers return to work, it creates more low-paying jobs in childcare and elderly care, important jobs but low-paying jobs, and it will increase the gender pay gap, as it does in Denmark, for example, which has 3 times the gender pay gap than we have here in the UK. So I don't believe the policy will see mums flooding back to work, and I don't think it will grow the economy in meaningful terms. But even if I'm wrong, I still believe it's the wrong policy because it's the wrong policy for children. What is best for baby in the early years? The bond between mother and child is probably the strongest human relationship there is. It's not just a soppy feeling, it's a highly evolved survival mechanism. And strong attachment in the early years pays dividends in later life. There's many great people in the childcare sector, but no one replaces mummy. And it's heartbreaking when mothers feel they have no choice but to leave their babies in childcare from a very young age because of the financial imperative. Yes, there is a cost of living problem, and many women want to work for all sorts of reasons and should absolutely be supported to do so. But the issue for many families is not the cost of childcare per se, any more than the cost of food or energy. It's the inability to live on one income when children are young. And this is what separates many women from their children, not by choice but tragic necessity. Now, the Treasury thinks the answer to our financial challenges is to send more mothers to work. I think the answer is to support all families in the early years to give parents choice. Now, we've got £4 billion for this new policy, £4 billion for existing policies. Why not use it to fund a move to household taxation, to increase child benefits, to spend that £6,500 a year per child in a different way? Give parents the choice of how they spend it on informal childcare, formal childcare, fewer hours in the workplace. Now, elite feminism might say that motherhood is drudgery and inferior to paid work outside the home. But that's only true if you believe that status and meaning derives principally from your salary and status in the workplace. I wish I spent more time in the office instead of with my small children, said no one on their deathbed ever. And I think those making these policies think of women with high-flying, high-paid careers, and of course they should be supported to stay in work and maintain their careers. But that is not most women. Most women have jobs and not careers. And as Dan Hitchens wrote in Unheard last week, those advocating for these policies assume that taking your little one to wiggle and rhyme at the public library is an unutterable burden, whereas stacking shelves or updating spreadsheets is a liberation of the human spirit. It's fundamentally unconservative to spend £4 billion separating parents from their babies in the pursuit of marginal gains to GDP. We offer tax breaks and incentives to reduce costs for companies investing in the economy. Why not offer the same to families nurturing the source of our future economic success? I commend the amount of money being spent on the early years, but please can it be used to offer parents choice and babies the best start in life?